Namaskar and welcome back. Just a few days before the close of the budget session, there was a lot of hot debate on the floor of Parliament regarding a legislation brought by the government which proposes to make some major amendments in the act related to Waqf properties. Now, what are those objections that people are raising against the bill? We have seen political parties, most of the opposition parties saying they do not want this bill, that it is for a mischievous purpose, whereas a couple of allies of the NDA alliance, while favouring the bill, have requested for greater consultations on the provisions. For the moment, the bill has been sent to a Joint Parliamentary Committee, but more importantly, what are those points of objections that have been raised by either political parties or organizations representing Muslims, and also why are these amendments important at this point of time? This is what we will go down across media scan in this debate this evening, but before that, a quick look at what the new legislation proposes.
Enhance accountability and transparency in Waqf boards, a dedicated portal and database for Waqf properties. Every Waqf shall file the details of its properties within 6 months. District Collector to be the main arbitrator in case of any dispute. No government property can be identified as Waqf property. Separate Waqf boards for Bohras, Aga Khanis, Shias and Sunnis. Mutation of Waqf properties as per laws with notice to all concerned. Waqf boards to have a chief executive officer who may also be non-Muslim. Central government will have the power to audit through CAG or any other officer. The Central Waqf Council will consist of a union minister and 3 MPs. The MPs may also be non-Muslims. 3 representatives of Muslim organizations and 3 Muslim law experts. Central Council will also include 2 ex-judges, to also include 4 people of national repute and senior union government officials. Central Waqf Council and state Waqf boards to have at least 2 women. Waqf boards to have at least 2 non-Muslim members. Only practicing Muslims and legal owners can donate property to Waqf. Money to the Waqf boards be used for the welfare of widows, divorcees and orphans.
So, after that quick capsule on the main provisions given in the new legislation, let me introduce our guest for this evening. I have here with me Amber Zaidi, a well-known Muslim activist, women's activist. You have been listening to her on Media Scan on earlier occasions. Welcome back, Amber.
Thank you so much, Asmita-ji, for having me again on your show.
Also with us, Mr. A.P. Abdullah Kutti. He is the chief of the Hajj Committee of India and a well-known activist from the community. Namaskar and welcome, sir. So, and now let's discuss, and I want to come to Mr. Abdullah Kutti first. Sir, there are at least a dozen or more objections to the bill raised on the floor of the House and outside when the government introduced the legislation. Now, very quickly coming to you, sir, the most fundamental objections that are being raised with this bill are, number one, that it violates the constitutional right of the minority communities to practice their religion and follow their rules and practices and customs. The other relates to a violation of federal rights. This government doesn't have the competency or the legislative right to bring a legislation like this. Very quickly, if you can share your thoughts with us on these 2 points of objection.
These objections mainly raised by Indian Union Muslim League. Finally, Congress also arguing same points. Both are baseless. Their main arguments, this bill is against Muslims and Constitution. But this is completely baseless. This bill is not against a Muslim, but against the land mafia within the Muslim community. You all know that Waqf properties are dedicated to God, but many have been encroached upon with several corruptions allegations against the Waqf Board. This circumstance, this bill
Yes, sir.
here,
Okay.
I strongly believe
Yes.
that after thorough discussion in the JPC, will accept it,
Right.
and Waqf will become an act as soon as possible.
Right, sir. I'll
You-
come back
you-
to, yes, please finish your point.
You know, earlier our so many parliament debates and parliament committee discussions, our Sachar commission also raised these issues. Our parliament should amend, strong amendment should be implemented, then only the work property will save.
Fine, fine. Got your point, sir. Allow me to come to Amber Zaidi here. Amber Zaidi, isn't it interesting that the government which constituted the Sachar committee, preferred to sit on those recommendations, and it is the Narendra Modi government that has decided to move forward on the recommendations of the Sachar committee that the Waqf, the entire management of Waqf properties needs an overhaul. Your reaction?
Absolutely, Smitaji. Congress has been doing the, politicization of Muslims since long. In fact, since 1970s. Now the Modi government who are ruling the country, they are doing the welfare and looking at the issues of the Muslim, especially how we can, take forward the Muslim community and join the mainstream. And they are looking at the core issues of the Muslim community. Waqf board is the largest, second largest, in fact, I would say, after railways. They are the largest landowner, the government body. And I would say that there have been a lot of discrepancies and a lot of scams under a Waqf board. Despite having a lot of properties and a lot of sources of income, they are not contributing enough for the welfare of the community. We the Muslim landowners of Muslim community, they work the property for the welfare of the Muslim community. But how their funds is being used and how the land scam is going on, it is not a secret. In fact, it's an open secret. Everybody knows that under Waqf board there has been a lot of scams.
Let me
In fact,
interrupt
big
you,
scams.
Amber.
Yes.
One very common and a very big objection being raised on the bill is that it is
Yes.
trying to reconstitute the management of the Waqf boards, and in that reconstitution process, one thing that has been added and which was surprisingly not there at all earlier is inclusion of women folk, to have at least a couple of women members in every management of the Waqf body. What do you want to say to that? The fact that there were no women members till now, and the objection that by adding this clause, the government is trying to, in a way remote control the management of Waqf bodies.
Smitaji, I wanted to, start with this point only, but you asked something different. But I would definitely welcome this, a very welcoming initiative from the government, because in other organization or other government bodies who are, who are related to Muslim community. In fact, the other organizations like, you name the political parties and the bodies like All India Muslim Personal Law Board, they don't have any female members or other senior positions which are, being led by women. But now the government, they have made it mandatory that at least you should have 2 women members in the board. So I think it is going to be a revolutionary step, because we all know that women are a natural leader and manager, and they will definitely mark a major change and major difference in these whole I think it's a very welcoming step, because
And
it was very
and it
much
is
needed
often
and
believed
more-
that wherever women are involved in the administration, corruption is also not as
Absolutely.
bad as in the other case. But Amber, thank you for putting it so clearly. I'll come back to Mr. Abdullah Kutti, but before that, let's just listen in to how the minister argued about the bill when he was introducing it on the floor of the House.
का जो फ्रीडम है उसमें कोई हस्तक्षेप नहीं किया जा रहा है, ना ही संविधान का किसी भी अनुच्छेद का इसमें उल्लंघन किया गया है। हमने जो ब्रॉड बेस किया है, किसी का हक छीनना तो बात छोड़ दीजिए, जिनको हक नहीं मिला है उनको हक देने के लिए ये बिल लाया गया है।
On behalf of Hajj Association of India, New Delhi, we mostly welcome this amendment because this act has been quite old one. As per the running situation and the current scenario, some amendments should be changed.
Mr. Abdullah Kuti, you just heard the minister arguing for the bill and also another reaction in favor of the bill. We have also seen some organizations, the Hajj Association of course, and also the association of all the Sajada Nasheens of the Dargahs welcoming the bill. But there are voices from the community, not only political parties but the Muslim Personal Law Board, etc., who are very stridently objecting on some provision, particularly about this oversight of Waqf properties by the district administration. They are saying this is a clear case of interference. They are also very angry why people non-Muslim should be nominated to any of these bodies, questioning is it done in the case of Hindu organizations or Sikh bodies. How will you argue that, sir?
But, Waqf board issues entirely different. So many corruptions, allegations are there. For example, in Karnataka, senior Muslim leader, Mr. C.M. Ibrahim, who was a former central minister, he is involved in a controversy over encroaching Waqf land. He constructed a private engineering college on this land, highlighting the reality of the situation. This is not, there was some board or other boards. The Muslim Waqf board issues entirely different. So many corruptions, encroachment is going on. This circumstance, this bill coming into the force.
But sir, let me interrupt you here. A very senior member of the Lok Sabha has questioned the government, saying it is you are blaming the Waqf boards of corruption and mismanagement, but they are saying by bringing this bill and putting representatives from the district administration and the clause for verification, etc., it is the government which is trying now to grab Waqf properties and land by bringing this bill. How do you explain that?
The similar earlier, similar CIA and Mutalaq. That time also so many allegations came from this tribe group. But today we all know that is not correct. So I strongly believe the majority common Muslim should support this bill.
Okay. Point taken, sir. We'll just listen into few more voices, particularly from the opposition, when they spoke immediately after the introduction of the bill, and then I'll come back to Amber Zaidi.
Well, the bill is violative of various provisions of the Constitution of India. The bill is also violative of the legislative competence of the government to even bring this bill to Parliament, because there is no entry in the union list.
अन्य धार्मिक जो मसले हैं, बॉडीज़ हैं, उनमें कोई गैर बरादरी का नहीं आता है। मान लीजिए वक्फ बोर्ड में गैर मुस्लिम को शामिल करने का औचित्य क्या बनता है?
ये जो आप बिल ला रहे हैं, आप देश को बांटने का काम कर रहे हैं, जोड़ने का काम नहीं कर रहे हैं। आप दुश्मन हैं मुसलमानों के, उसका सबूत ये बिल है।
Amber Zaidi, you heard Mr. Owaisi and Mr. Akhilesh Yadav, also Manish Tiwari. Very clearly, Mr. Owaisi is saying the government is an enemy of the Muslims, and Mr. Akhilesh Yadav has said on another platform that because the Modi government did not do very well in the Lok Sabha elections, it has brought this bill because it has to please its own vote bank by trying to do something like this in order to keep the Hindutva vote intact. Quickly, your reaction.
Smitaji, coming from, OSCG, what he said, this is nothing new. He has been repeatedly saying that Modi government is enemy of Muslim. And despite being a Muslim himself, OSCG has never done anything good for the welfare of Muslim community. Ask him what has he done for the welfare of the community, of the Muslim community, or particularly Muslim women or youth. Whenever anything good comes from the government for the welfare of the community, he always go against that and oppose that bill or amendment. Every time he just try, blame and do the vote ikattha karo, rajniti bhadkao and vote ikattha karo. I think that's old political fashion, old-fashioned political style, which has been done by Congress. Now, the AMIM has picked that political thing. They are also doing the politics on the same line. But I would like to bring one point here, that the Muslim community has understood where is their their good, their rights. Now they are just taking their right to the choice of votes very seriously, and they have made their choice. I know in the recent election of Lok Sabha, there's been a lot of confusion, misconception about the Muslim community, but I think it takes a lot of time, because there were a lot of myths about Modi government before, when they came into power.
Okay, we'll take a quick comment on the myths that you are hinting at. I'll come to Mr. Abdullah Kutti here. Sir, we'll wait to see what happens in the Joint Parliamentary Committee. You have just articulated that you think once it is discussed in detail, everybody will come in favor of the bill. We'll have to wait to see what happens there. But on the larger question of the government's initiatives for the Muslim community, whether it was triple talaq, now we have the amendments to the Waqf Act. Do you think it is becoming difficult for the government to convince its intention to the Muslim community, seeing the political developments of the past some time, or do you think this is a ploy by some opposition bloc?
I sincerely congratulate Modi government, especially Minister Kiran Rijiju, introducing this bill. The Modi government is taking a brave decision, similar to its action regarding Article 370, the Triple Talaq, and the Citizenship Amendment Act. I strongly believe, after a thorough discussion of JPC will accept this act, this bill become act as soon as possible. Because earlier our parliament boards and committees, so many debate and discussion already there. This is very brave decision of Modi government. I strongly believe it will take little time. Finally, the common Muslim will accept this bill.
Okay. I'll take a quick comment from Amber here, and there are a few questions particularly pertaining to your home state Kerala, which I would like to ask you, sir. But Amber Zaidi, since this is Media Scan, we want to, just take into account some of the commentaries and analysis which have been written on the bill. There is one very interesting comment by a Muslim lady who says that this bill for the first time recognizes that the term minority doesn't just mean Muslim, Sunni and male. What would you say?
Absolutely, because despite if you look at the numbers, Muslims are not the minority. If you look at the numbers, but we are the second largest populated community of the country. But still, when we talk about the democratic setup of the country, we always been taught in India, Muslim, they have given special treatment in everything. And now those boundaries, those mindset is being broken by the Modi government, and we are, being led by the such leadership who are taking us forward in true sense. Earlier, the Muslim community, it was just it was a mere political vote bank. Now, in every sense, we are becoming part of the country, a real citizen of the country. Especially Muslim women are getting their due rights from the country, because earlier also, when we were debating on triple talaq, on other Muslim issues, I've always said the day Muslim women of India will get their equal rights, I will call India that day, that a true democratic setup that day. Now we have started getting our due rights from our constitution, and that is very welcoming and so heartening to see the change. And I think it's a historic change we are witnessing in our lifetime. We have seen a lot of good things happening: 370, triple talaq, Ram Mandir, and I think the Modi government was showing the political might or political willpower. That is so heartening to see, and I would definitely want to see one day that they bring uniform civil code, and that will be I think the day of the life that I'll celebrate in India as being a Muslim woman of the country.
Okay,
And
profound words, Amber. But allow me to come to Mr. Abdullah Kutti. Sir, two very senior members of Parliament from your home state, Kerala, Mr. K.C. Venugopal and Mr. Bashir, they have raised some very serious objections to the bill. Some of them are common, like the legislative competence, etc. But Mr. Bashir was very vocal in saying that the community is making constant efforts to try to, vacate those lands which have been encroached upon. But once this bill comes, it will become impossible to vacate any encroachments on Waqf land. And he also says that this bill proposes to make the district collector superior to the Waqf bodies, which are actually, a right of the community. So how will you remove that doubt from the, minds of the politicians or the representatives?
Our current revenue land issues handling by collectors. Every dispute, every issues, handling by the collectors. Muslim League and E.T. Muhammad Bashir statements and political stand is not correct. They are, misleading the Muslim community. I am believe situation will change here also.
Okay.
After introducing this bill, many religious leaders, including Bohra Muslim, Shia Muslim, and some Sunni leaders have already supported this bill. I am confident that the majority common Muslim also support this legislation. Majority Muslims are well educated, especially in Kerala. The E.T. Muhammad Bashir can't misleading this new generation.
Amber, very quickly, because Mr. Abdullah Kutti mentioned, and I wanted to raise this question, there are all sorts of organizations within the Muslim fold. There are Bohras, we have seen some religious heads, the Sajada Nasheens, etc. Then there are other organizations related to Hajj and Waqf, etc., who have very, very clearly supported the bill. Why do you think every time we have there is a discourse related to the interests of the Muslim community, it is just one or two bodies who always dominate the viewpoint? Why are these voices never taken into account?
Smriti ji, I want to add one point and then I'll come back to your question. I want to add that Tarkeshwar Mandir Committee, Farhad Hakim has been the chairperson of that committee. No one ever raised their objection on that. And there are other mandir and other examples also where non-Hindus has been the chairperson of the community, and no one has ever raised the objection. But now I'll come back to your question. You said that this has, every time any amendment or any welfare step is taken by the government, they go totally in opposition or object to it. And in fact, they don't even hesitate to go to the Supreme Court of India. We have 2, 3 or organization, Jamiat Ulema Hind, All India Muslim Personal Law Board, and OSCG, our very own and very popular die-hard Muslim who has never done any good for the Muslim community. He has always been against anything is being done good for the community. See, the Muslim community or a common Muslim, they need to understand what are they doing. They are doing their own welfare, not the welfare of the community or the country. They are just, they are just filling up their bank accounts and they are doing their welfare of their children. That's it. That's the agenda. And what has he done?
Okay, so what
far?
you are articulating is that the interest of the community is not paramount for
that's
them.
not the agenda.
Yes. But I am afraid, that's all the time we had today. So I must put a wrap on our conversation for this evening. And we shall wait to see how the discussions and the deliberations on the legislation will pan out when the work starts in the Joint Parliamentary Committee. Before that, thank you very much, Amber Zaidi, for explaining your viewpoint to us, and Mr. Abdullah Kutti for joining us from Kerala. Thank you, sir. As Amber Zaidi was pointing out, every time an initiative is made to bring some reform or positive change for the minority communities, there will always be a pocket full of organizations who stand up stridently against it. Now it remains to be seen whether the Joint Parliamentary Committee sees the benefits of the bill and it comes out as it is intended, or whether these negative voices manage to carry the day. We'll wait for that day when the real picture comes out. Till then, it's a wrap up on Media Scan for this evening. Do join us next weekend. Namaskar.
What is